Vitality is our ability to have spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical bliss. Some call it paradise. We call it a game.
Hey all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I'm your host, femininity coach, and author of The Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. So what we're talking about today is why Black women, that y'all don't know the difference between a success and a failure. Y'all think y'all failures are all successes and that you've never failed, really, at anything. Or at least that's the story you want everybody else to believe about you, but it's not believable because everybody has failed at something, and y'all don't understand it. It doesn't make you less than of a human being to admit failure. It makes you less than when you see your failure and never correct it. So what I have for you today is a clip from a YouTuber who I've seen a lot of his clips actually. So shout out to him. I think his channel name is Mr. Let It Go or Mr. Let Go. And this is his clip, and I want you guys to pay attention to what is being said here. So let me go ahead and share my screen.
I am. You don't need a husband to be successful. Not at all.
What does successful look like, boys?
Happy in your own skin. Happy with the person that you are, in love with the person that you are, that you don't have to look for a man to love you because you already love yourself. And that's what I mean by successful female. Because success can look in any other way.
Female going to have children with kids?
Yes, you can be successful with kids. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So how can you be in this, what you just painted out to be successful without being married, and you have a child in this scenario? Without
the child has nothing to do with that scenario.
Children has everything to do with that scenario. So when you said a woman can be successful and not get married, when you add a child to that, she is no longer successful. She is now a single mother. And being a single mother is not success. Single motherhood is failure. A child, a family comprises of a man and a woman, not a woman.
A woman doesn't need a husband to be successful, because I didn't need my husband.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. But the first thing I want to know is, what was that picture behind her? That was sus. What was that? Sis, what kind of picture you have behind you, sis? Should we knock it off? Do we got to knock it off? Because that picture didn't look right. That didn't seem right. That didn't seem innocent to me. But anyway, you can tell by the look on her face that she didn't agree and she didn't know what he was talking about. When she started talking about her definition of success is being happy with herself, loving the skin that she's in, and not depending on a man to love you in order to love yourself. I don't agree that that is the totality of success. However, you should have self-love. You should be able to love yourself, because you can't give someone else something that you don't possess. So if you don't possess love, then you can't give love to other people, right? Okay, fine. So we'll do that. So he allowed her to say what her definition of success was in order to have words that came out of her mouth, out of her brain. So when she messed up is when he asked her, could children be part of it? She's like, yeah, you can be successful with a kid. And he was like, no. And then she got stuck like, what you mean, no? And he's like, no, that's actually a failure. If you become a single mother, that is a failure. And especially if this single motherhood occurs without you ever having been married to the father of that child. And there are more like that than there are women who was married and divorced or whatever. It's more situations where we were never that committed, right? It may not have been a one-night stand, but we were never that committed. You know, we was with each other for a little bit. You know, I got pregnant or whatever. But we wasn't committed like that. Not enough for me to have actually birthed a kid with this man. We had never really had that conversation. And there is much more like that, where we really didn't have that conversation. There really wasn't that type of commitment. He never told me he was going to be a father. He never told me he wanted children with me. He never said any of those things. And I popped up pregnant. I don't know how in 2022 you popping up pregnant with as many birth control options as women have. Literally, you put a stick on your arm like a nicotine patch. Like literally, there's a patch. One day I'm going to talk about y'all defenses against birth control. It ruins our bodies. This is the same group of women that go and get a BBL in Mexico. Talking about birth control ruin her body. Anyway, too many Black women think that single motherhood is success, particularly if she has means, because this is the only way that she starts talking about how she don't need no man, which is where the gist of this comes from. That's why she was so amped and so hyped and so when she was saying, and you don't need a man, and you don't need a man to come up. And that's why she was so hyped when she, that's why she was turned up when she was saying that, right? Because it was she had the courage of her convictions when she was talking about how she don't need a man. Not even for creating a family. Not even for the family. It's not necessary. It's still a form of success. You heard her say it. So then when the outcomes are bad, it's no longer successful. It's the men's fault that it's not successful. But if you could be successful as a single mother, what's the problem? But we went over that already. As long as she has money and as long as she loves herself. So as long as she is practicing a very selfish form of self-worship, this is not self-love. The type of stuff that Black women are talking about isn't really self-love, because if you loved yourself, you would actually work on yourself according to the 10 life values to get your internal values intact. That is a demonstration of loving yourself. Not all of this, pampering and taking little trips. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with going to get a spa day or pamper day. There's nothing wrong with that. But if that is the totality of loving yourself and cutting people off and being extra super selfish, that is not loving yourself. Okay? But then here's the thing. What about how the child is affected? What about how the father is affected by the selfish decision to have a baby on your own? So at least two other people, if you have one child and the father of that child, at least two other people are negatively affected by the selfishness of your decision. This is not a success. And too many Black women think single motherhood is a success, which is why they don't mind going into it. And I'm going to tell you why they think it's a success. Because success is always defined in terms of the lost value system. What is at the top of the lost value system? Top of the lost value system is wealth, where there is no detachment. Wealth is our accumulation and possession of what we consider as valuable, right? So money, usually some form of material gain, an item, is the measure of success. Since family has no loving support and is towards the bottom of the lost value system, it having no loving support and it being in shambles has no bearing on the value and the determination of success, because that's low on the totem pole anyway. Nobody's measuring success in the lost value system according to whether or not your family value is intact. So single motherhood, which is usually done by choice, is an immediate failure because it ruins the family value. It immediately puts it in breakdown. It's an immediate breakdown. And you're not consider that it does put it in breakdown is an indication of the failure, because now you're blind. You can't even see how your selfish decisions count as a negative to yourself, meaning the woman. So those selfish negative decisions never count as a negative against her. It's never a strike against her. Her single motherhood is a strike against the father if it's a strike against anybody. It's not a strike against who she is and the character that she has and the lack of foresight that she has and the rash decisions that she made and all of this. They like to put the accountability on the man. Well, he should have done this and he should have done that. He should have worn a condom. He should have been prepared to have a kid with a woman because he was having sex with her and he wasn't married to her. Yeah, okay, but the womb belongs to you. The womb belongs to you. And women like to dance around that fact. Since it belongs to you and it's in your body, you're the one that has ultimate control over it, and you should control it, and you should have the bulk of the responsibility about what happens and transpires in it. It belongs to you. And it's that type of lack of accountability that frustrates conversations like this, which is why those conversations continue to be repetitive. And people wonder why we having the same conversation, because the women don't want to talk. They don't want to talk straight. They want to talk in a circle and lead the men back to thinking that everything is their fault so that they can dodge accountability. That's why we keep having the conversation, because nobody's going to let it go and let it off as you just being obstinate about the whole thing. So we just got to move on because you're going to be a petulant child about the conversation. Nobody's going to do that. No, we're going to stay right here until we figure it out and until you say what's going on, yay or nay, so the rest of us that want communities and the union and the togetherness can actually make the decision without your interference, because we don't want you interfering. And we having these conversations to weed out those who would interfere. If you carry the same hyena mindset as the rest of them, the women and the men, then we don't need you here because you're going to work against what we're doing. So you need to be banished and ostracized. Everybody put a mark on this one. This one is a bad apple. We get them out of there. Because they're not here to work with the rest of us. They don't work with the rest of us. So since they're not working with the rest of us, we don't need to work with them. And it's these delusional mindsets that have Black women not understanding failures and successes and the differences between them. Because they want the world to know or believe that Black women don't have any major failures in her life that's affecting everybody. And the fact of the matter is, you do. You have a whole problem. You having a whole crisis that you don't want nobody to talk about because it make you quote unquote look bad, feel bad, or whatever you think it does. And this is why you're ultimately a failure, because you don't see a failure isn't somebody that tried something and failed at it, or it didn't succeed the way that they thought. That's not a failure. The failure is the one that tried something, it didn't work, and then they refuse to see any other way why it didn't work in order to make it work. Or, as the old saying goes, nothing beat a failure but a try. Meaning you didn't even attempt. You didn't even make an attempt to do anything. Therefore, you are a failure. Because there are many successful people who failed before, but it wasn't for lack of trying. And they eventually succeeded because they didn't give up, because they went to seek correction. There's something I'm doing wrong. There's something here that is stopping me from succeeding. What are the obstacles? The obstacles could be me. It could be me. It's not always an external thing going on. And that's where Black women really fail at. That's where the real failures are. Because either you don't even make an attempt to make any changes or to see anything anybody's way or to look into the mirror. Or you fail at something and then it's everybody else's fault. It's one of the two. Never where you look in the mirror and say, you know what? Yeah, this is me. Something going on with me. Let me attempt to fix whatever is going on with me so that the next time I try this thing, it'll work. and not work the way I think it's gonna work, but actually work. So sound off in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I'm your host, The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.
Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.